that famous mustache paisano. He's been in platformers, kart racers, sports, RPGs, and is the host of parties. You're listening to a guy who grew up with Mario since the very early 90s. I've had an NES at a very young age that I can't recall how young. Throughout all my years as a gamer, Mario has always been there since the beginning. And what better way to start reviewing this series with not only the game that started it all, but the first game I've ever played, Super Mario Bros. For this review, I'll be playing the version released for the Nintendo Switch Online for convenience sake. So after the success of Donkey Kong, Miyamoto decided to give Mario his own game called Mario Bros. Here, Mario is now an Italian plumber from Brooklyn, New York with a brother named Luigi. The game proved to be pretty popular that in 1985, Miyamoto decided to create a new adventure game for the Famicom Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Mario Bros., and here's where a new universe begins. Now because this is probably the first platformer of its kind, the original Super Mario Bros. Is very simplistic. Instead of having to defeat enemies in a sewer, you're now in a 2D side-scroller as you travel to the end of the stage. You take control of Mario through the D-pad, holding down left and right in said direction. You have a jump button and a button that you can hold down as you move to give you momentum to run. You jump to reach objects and platforms or to land on an enemy. Holding down the other button while going left and right allows Mario to sprint. Running becomes more of a habit over time as you progress through the game. With how short each level is, it just becomes so much fun to speedrun. The game has a total of 8 worlds, each consisting of 4 stages. The levels themselves are fairly linear, with the only alternate paths being going down certain pipes or blocks that let vines out of which you can climb up and travel across the clouds. Scattered throughout each level are coins that you can collect. Collecting them will give you points for your score, and if you collect 100 coins, you gain a 1-up, which is an extra life. You'll also notice these blocks that you can jump on and use as platforms. Hitting question mark coins will either give you coins or a power-up. You see, Mario in his tiny form is very vulnerable. If he takes one hit as he is, you lose a life. Power-ups are the main gimmick of the game and will help negate this problem. The mushroom turns you into Super Mario, growing you bigger in size and allowing you to take an extra hit. Taking a hit, however, will revert you back to smaller Mario, so you'll want to find another mushroom. There's the Fire Flower, which allows you to press the action button to shoot fireballs at enemies. Since this power-up shoots out long-range projectiles, you definitely want to hold on to it. It'll save you throughout the rest of the game. Though if you're small Mario and collect this power-up, it'll just turn you into Super Mario and you'll just have to find another Fire Flower. And there's the Star, which gives you temporary invincibility accompanied by a catchy tune. Use it while it lasts by running through some of the level, destroying enemies in your path. It's so satisfying. Oh yeah, and there are also green mushrooms that give you an extra life. Neato. Your enemies come in the form of Goombas, which are no threat and can be stomped on in one hit. There's the Koopa Trooper, of which stomping on them has them retreating in their shells, giving you an opportunity to hit them, sending them spiraling backwards. Just make sure you're not in their vicinity if there's a wall or pipe blockage up ahead, or they'll be sent heading back towards you. There's also the Paratroopas, Koopa Troopas with wings that just bounce around. One hop and they become regular Koopa Troopas. You'll eventually travel underwater where you'll meet Cheep Cheep and Bloopers. Bloopers are probably the most annoying underwater. I recommend walking on the ground where it's hard for them to reach you. Later on, you face against Lekka2, a Koopa on a cloud that drops Spinies at you. Since these guys have spikes on their shells, you'll take damage by stomping on them. If you reach on higher platforms, you can either stomp on Lekka2 or shoot fireballs at him to get rid of him temporarily before he respawns. There's bullet bills which shoot out of black cannons. While they fly towards your direction, one stomp can take care of them. And finally, Hammer Brothers, the most annoying enemy in the game. You'll have to wait patiently and try to bypass them while they're above you, or you can shoot them with your Fire Flower. Now, despite being outdone by its predecessors, I still think the graphics look pretty good, especially for its time. The levels and level aesthetics really take me back to my youth when I first played this game. There's your classic Mushroom Kingdom levels with blue skies and hills with eyes. There's your dark underground levels with music that feels like you're sneaking underground. There's your underwater levels where you have to avoid bloopers and Cheep Cheeps. Your dark sky levels, which are no different from daytime levels but are a nice change of pace and scenery. and finally the Koopa Fortress, where you must fight against Bowser. Or rather, Bowser's cronies dressed as Bowser. Afterwards, turns out you're freeing Toad, who tells you that the princess is in another castle, and get used to that message cause you'll be hearing it again and again until you beat the game. Finally, when you beat World 8-4, Princess Toadstool, or Peach, is rescued and tells you that there's another quest for you. You go to the start screen, which allows you to select any world you want to start with. Your new quest is just the same quest, except Goombas are replaced with Buzzy Beetles. Super Mario Bros. Became a success and has sold millions of copies worldwide. To capitalize on its success, a sequel had to be made. In 1986, Super Mario Bros. 2 was released in Japan for the Famicom Disk System. However, Nintendo of America passed up on releasing this to America and Europe due to its difficulty. As a result, the game only saw released in Japan. It wasn't until 1993 that the game saw an international release in Super Mario All-Stars, a compilation that consists of Mario 1 through 3, each with a 16-bit graphical makeover. This included Mario 2 from Japan, which would be retitled as Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, since we already got a Mario 2 of our own. So this is basically why I'm calling it the Lost Levels for this review. Now, unlike the original Super Mario Bros. Where you could play as 2 players, you can only play single player with either Mario or Luigi. Oh, that's right, how could I forget about Luigi? Well, he is the forgotten Mario Brothers, so sorry Luigi. In Super Mario Bros. You can choose between 1 or 2 players. Player 1 will always be Mario, but choosing the 2-player option will allow a buddy to take control of Luigi through a second controller. Lost Levels, however, is strictly single player, where you can choose between Mario or Luigi. Very odd choice to omit the 2-player option. What were they thinking? In Super Mario Bros., Luigi controls exactly the same as Mario. In Lost Levels, however, the game distinguishes him from his brother. Mario pretty much controls the same as he did in the last game, whereas Luigi can now jump higher but has slippery traction. His slippery shoes will cause him to skid off edges and fall down. I like that the game distinguishes the 2 plumbers from each other, as it gives the game more replay value, but Luigi can be more trouble than he's worth due to his traction, and it could easily lead to deaths, many deaths. Mario's younger brother is more for the advanced players that seek more of a challenge. If you plan on playing this game for the first time, it's probably best to stick with Mario. Lost Levels, in terms of its gameplay and aesthetics, looks exactly like the original Super Mario Bros. You're essentially playing the same game as you did before, and the sound quality is exactly the same. It's Super Mario Bros. Plus. There are some tweaks to the level design, and it definitely has a darker color palette. Clouds and bushes now have eyes, and the ground actually looks like dirt. There's also a drop shadow on the text, making it easier to see your score. A new obstacle in this game is the poison mushroom, which upon touching is like touching an enemy in this game. What makes the Lost Level stand out from the original Super Mario Bros. Is its unfair difficulty. This game will drive you insane, and you will die a lot and a lot and a lot. We have the same enemies in this game, except they're a lot more aggressive this time around. The worst offender is the Hammer Brothers. Remember the pricks that kept throwing hammers at you? Yeah, they walk towards you now, isn't that great? New to this game are the red piranha plants, which pop out faster than the green ones. Okay, so here's my issue with the Lost Levels difficulty. I can get by that they wanted to make the game more challenging so it's not one-on-one the same package as before. I can somewhat understand throwing a lot of enemies at you except for inconvenient situations. It's the many parts of the game where they require you to do precise platforming and have to be exact with the timing of your jumps with limited environmental surroundings where I have a problem with. In World 2-2, for example, you get to a particular spot where there's a pipe on the ground and the pipe in the air, both next to a bottomless pit. In between the 2 pipes, you have to find an invisible block so you can jump on top of it. But you have to make sure you don't bypass the first pipe because you're going to need it to jump on top of that one. Gain a bit of momentum to reach the block, and then do so again to reach the pipe in the air. There's many parts in this game where you get into these situations, and I personally think it's unfair. Because if you bypass what you need to cross over pits, the game is pretty much telling you to kill yourself. And in my opinion, that isn't good game design, especially where lives are an issue. In retrospective, I can't help but wonder how this game would be received if it was released overseas. What would the reception have been? Would gamers have been turned off from this game? Would this tarnish Mario's reputation? Would the game be considered misunderstood and become a cult classic decades later after its release? Even if gamers jump back into the series with Mario 3, Mario 2 here could have possibly ruined Mario's gamer street cred. So the game wouldn't see a worldwide release until 1993 when it was packaged with Super Mario All-Stars. The All-Stars versions of each Mario game gives these games a well-welcomed graphical makeover. Due to being released on 16-bit hardware, the levels are way more colorful and there's a lot more attention to detail. This version of Lost Levels has been given a save feature, making the game a bit more easier to play through. While the game is still hard as balls, it's nice to have a save feature so you don't have to worry about starting all the way from the beginning. The All-Stars versions of both games definitely look a lot more prettier in aesthetic, and if anything, I prefer the ending in the All-Stars version more as they put more effort into making it more rewarding. You have Peach trapped in a cage and then you're treated to a close-up image of her rewarding Mario with a kiss. It's details like these where I understand why those who grew up with these versions prefer it to the NES originals. The original Super Mario Bros. Is still a timeless classic that cemented Mario's place in gaming to this day, while any positives I have for the Lost Level can be carried over from its predecessor. But between the two, I prefer Super Mario Bros. As it's the more comfortable experience to pick up and play, whereas the Lost Levels is a game I'd only recommend to those who play the original, and gamers that just want to test their skills. Both of these games were released on the Wii and Wii U Virtual Console, which you're probably not going to have access to today. But if you have access to the Nintendo Switch Online, give these games a shot and see where Mario got his start from. Well, his start from the Mushroom Kingdom, that is. Thank every single one of you for turning into my first ever Mario review. If you enjoyed this video and liked my commentary, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more videos to come. You can be sure to expect a lot more Mario and Nintendo on this channel coming soon. Thank you all for watching and I will see you guys later. Peace out, paisanos.